All right, here we go with Erklärbär video number 3 on how to train and handle off-the-track thoroughbreds. Today we're going to show you the youngest horse we have at the facility here. We've covered him before a little bit when we talked about Harmony. We also covered him when we had the video about the farrier work that our off-the-track thoroughbreds get done. So let's go and look at Mr. Dino. All right, so there he is in all his glory. Dino, his jockey name was Wine is My Priority. We renamed him Dionysus here at the facility. Here we see Brittany, who owns him now. The specialty about this horse is that he came to us with a accessory carpal bone fracture that we rehabilitated here at the facility, so we knew about that when we got him from Louisiana, and we were very successful in keeping him sound. And as you can see, he's not the biggest of all thoroughbreds. He is about 15.3. He's a gelding, has beautiful hair or mane, and is overall a very agreeable guy. We just have to be careful with his training because of the injury that he brought from the track. And right now we will see assistant trainer Jessica Sims getting on him, and I will talk to you about his training. So before we see Jessica actually getting on Dino, I will give you some hints for the person who asked how to start with your off-the-track thoroughbred. So the first thing we do at this facility is when they come fresh off the track that we leave them alone for at least 6 months to a year. So the horse can come down and the cortisol levels can come down. Cortisol is the stress level hormone that they develop, and they have lots of it when they're on the track. That's because of the environment they're in and because they run all the time. So we leave these horses alone for 6 months to a year to just let them be horses. And then we treat them like they're babies. They know nothing because a racehorse is not a riding horse. And riding a racehorse in a race is a totally different situation than what we want from them. So typically we start with them on the ground and just do the typical lunge line work that you would see. Try to have them go around us in a circle in walk trot. Usually we are a little bit more careful with off-the-track thoroughbreds to ask them to canter on a lunge line because the circle is pretty tight for them. And we try, and if it works well, then we let them do that too. If not, then we just free lunge them in our indoor arena to give them a nice canter. So that would be your first step, is to teach your off-the-track thoroughbred to lunge. My recommendation is, especially if you're not experienced with them, always have a second person with you that can help you. So you have more than just one set of hands. Get a nice lunge cavesson for your off-the-track thoroughbred and fit it to your off-the-track thoroughbred, and then start with the middle buckle to lunge them in the neutral position. I can go and show you what a lunge cavesson is. All right, so here we have Jessica holding one of the lunge cavessons that I was talking about. You can also get lunge cavessons out of leather. I mean, really, it is personal taste. I'm not a big fan of the leather ones because they are hard to keep clean, and you have to take care of them just like you have to take care of regular tack. This one I just hose off, and it does the same thing, but as I said, it's always personal taste. So where we start is on the lunge line is here. So as you can see, this has 3 rings, and we start first with the neutral point, and then when I want the horse to flex a little bit more in its neck, depending on which direction I go, I hang the lunge line in the left or the right ring and just help it a little bit along to make it clear that, a flexed neck, then the body follows, but that's for later. So the other thing I see people do a lot is just put a bridle on the horse Thank you, Jessica. And then just clip the lunge line into the inner ring of the bridle or the bit and lunge the horse that way. So I will tell you that is a really, really bad idea, because all you do is teach the horse to pivot around on a circle on its inside shoulder, which will at some point result in an injury. So we will show you in another video how we handle if we have a bridle on the horse and we need to use a lunge line. We will show you how we do that. But for now, let's watch Jessica and Dino, and I will talk a little bit about the training. All right, so we have covered in other videos about other horses how we handle the mounting process, and as you can see, Dino did a really fabulous job at that. And he's just standing at the mounting block. Expect a young horse not always to be that way, so that's why there's always multiple people here at the facility if we have to, so somebody can hold the horse and help the rider out. That's why we always have multiple people with young horses, just for a safety point of view, and it's just more comfortable for everybody if you have more than just one person. So here we see Dino in walk, just starting for the warm-up. He is under saddle in walk trot right now. We have not cantered him yet because we are still a little cautious about his injury, because he had this accessory carpal bone fracture. So we just want to give that a little more time to completely heal and get a little more calcified before we put the stress of a canter under saddle on him. And so, as I mentioned before, race horses are not riding horses. They are trained for racing and not for riding. So biomechanically, what they do works completely different. One of the things that these guys have a really big problem with, and you can see here Dino is trying, is the forward downward that you need as a riding horse so they can bring up their back. Because jockeys do the opposite. Jockeys have to keep the horses up, especially when they go into a gallop, so they don't fall flat on their face. And so this is one of the things that is difficult for some of the track thoroughbreds to understand, the concept of going forward downward and not bracing into the rider's hands. That's just something that they're trained to do. So Dino is, as I mentioned before, a very agreeable horse. He responds really well to our training. He is very willing to do things. Also, his rather smaller size makes things a little bit easier for us as far as mounting and dismounting. In general, an off-the-track thoroughbred, they're always athletes and machines. So always expect them to have a lot of power and a lot of athletic capability. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble, and that's where they get their bad reputation, that some people say they're hot. No, they're not. They're just incredibly athletic. And if you as a rider cannot keep up with that, then, you might have an issue riding one of these horses, because they just want to use the athletic capability they have. So there Jessica is trying a turn. And there we go. Good job, Dino. Nice one. So the other thing we do with these guys is when we start training them, we take it onto straight lines first, and then we will go on bent lines, circles, and turns. We keep that pretty big for a quite long time, just because these horses have had a lot of stress on their joints. So we try to avoid that before they're muscled up properly for what we want to do. And so this is what you see here with Dino, who is very curious what's happening in the corner there because Brittany is wrapping up a lunch line. And so you see here big and gentle turns, and there we see trying some side gates. So we always start with a little bit of leg yields. Leg yields are very good for these guys, so they can figure out their body and can figure out the mobility of their shoulders. Also little stretches. So he does that very willingly. Nice boy. All right, so here you see Dino and Jessica and Trot, and here you can see the reason why we're taking it slow a little bit. If you look closely, you can see that he is a little unsure on that right front. That's where his injury was. So we are just slowly building up the stamina and building up the inner tissue there. But usually he works out of it, and here you can see it is better than it looked, and his ears are forward, so he's in general very happy. There we go, good boy. Nice job. All right, so now Dino is going to the left, which is, you know, most off-the-track thoroughbreds are mainly work to the left. That's their main work direction. And also the injured leg is on the outside, which is easier for him. So let's see what he looks like trotting that direction. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. There you can see that his gait is a little more even. And that is for sure easier for him. Good boy. Nice job.
He's so worried about that door.
You never know what comes through the door. Right, Dino? Good boy. Good boy. Nice boy.
Good job.
So everyone, that was Dino, the youngest horse in our facility right now. We have one more to cover that will come at another time. So the other thing that is very important with Dino is that we keep up with his farrier work. So he is at a cycle in the summer between 5 and 6 weeks because of the climate we have here in Wisconsin where it's hot and humid. Their feet grow like crazy. In the summer, we usually stretch it out between 8 and 10 weeks. Depending on how they look like. And so yeah, that's it for this video for today, and thank you for watching.
Good job.